This may be a controversial video. My videos have been kind of controversial lately, but I've been living for it, so I really don't care. What is up, my fellow spiritual people here on the internet, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Tawny Michelle, and basically I am just another spiritual ass person here on the internet doing cool spiritual videos about tarot and astrology like this one. Also, we do keep it real over on this channel. We are not all love, light, twin flames, and unicorns over here. So please keep that in mind, and that is especially important for today's video because we are talking about January 21. Wow. Yeah. And I decided that in this video, since I have so many freaking videos to do, that I was going to make this video about January 2021, but also go into the major themes that we're going to be seeing in 2021 as well. And if you haven't already, I did talk a lot about 2021 and the upcoming years ahead in my Great Conjunction video of Saturn and Jupiter, which I will link here and down below. I would definitely go watch that, and about the new age, a new era that is being formed right now that we are right smack in the beginning of. And I talked a lot about everything in there too. I made a lot of predictions in there. Thank you guys so much for supporting that video. It was a bitch to edit. Anyways, this month, January, is literally possibly the biggest month of 2021, and I will tell you that 2021 does start off with a bang, kind of like 2020 did, except it kind of gradually started off with a bang for 2020, but 2021 is different in the fact that the aspects that we have aren't going to be as intense as they were in 2020, but there is still going to be a lot of dismantling happening, especially in these first few months. And a lot of disruption is like the best word for January and February, is a lot of disruption. And 2021, I think, in my opinion, is going to be a big year of us really kind of dealing with the backlash and the fallout from 2020. That's going to take us years to, I mean, it's not like we're just going to go back to normal in 2021. 2021 is going to be creating something new, getting rid of the old, and also figuring out how to restructure things and to deal with the shit that 2020 brought. Basically, in my opinion, that's what it's going to be all about. But it still has its own challenges and its own events, so just keep that in mind, okay? This isn't a matter of like, is it going to be better or worse, or is 2021 going to be good? That is all a matter of perception, so I can't really answer that. You know what I mean? It really depends on your own personal perspective and situation and all of that. Okay, let's begin. So, the beginning of 2021 will seem shocking, disruptive, groundbreaking in a sense, or foundation breaking in a sense, full of a lot of rebellion. Basically. And I'll explain why in a minute, but this is we're kind of in this battle of like the old versus the new on so many different levels. It's not just like this side and this side. It's like this side and 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 this side. You know what I mean? There's so much division, but on so many different levels. And I think that we may start seeing a lot of people rebelling and fighting for freedom, and I'm going to explain why. And a fight for rights as well. I think that's going to be the big thing of 2021 is like themes of freedom, rebellion, and rights. And what do those look like? Have those changed? Like, how do we achieve those? Are we achieving those? Are we getting those, you know, or are they being taken? What is oppressive and what is too controlling and too limiting, and what needs more freedom and what is too free and what is not free enough? You know, all of these kinds of things are going to be the big themes for 2021, especially these first few months is when we're really going to see like boom, bang, it's happening. It's going to be quite a shocking time. I mean, and I really want you to think of the Tower card these first couple months of 2021. And I know that does not sound exciting, but there will be a level of excitement to it, believe it or not, on some levels. I mean, there's going to either be fear or excitement, and that's where we really have to work to try to find the balance between the two. Fear is not necessarily bad. It's an emotion that's there for a reason, right? Like, we need to be scared if we are, I don't know, too close to the edge of a cliff, you know what I mean? So it's there for a reason, but there's also this shit right now with Neptune square the nodes, which is very much like pumping out fear. You know, with the Pluto sextile Neptune and Neptune squaring the nodes, there's this confusion on direction, this feeling of illusion, and this feeling of being lost on which direction we should go, what we should trust, who we should trust, what's the truth and what's not. There's so much deception going on, and with Pluto making that sextile to Neptune, it's like feeding it the fear and the chaos and the fear mongering, and it's taking it to a whole nother level. It's exaggerating it, it's extreme, you know what I mean? So there is a lot of things right now that I feel will be proven very different, or may look very different as time goes on, if that makes sense. So anyways, so what we are really going to start seeing in 2021 is the fall of structures, order, systems, tension on a global and collective scale, major disruption in the status quo and in the norm, right? Revolutionary stuff, revolutionary acts, defiance, and radical shifts, a breakdown of limits and boundaries, dismantling of tradition and the old. Like I said before, this year is going to be really seeing a lot of the fallout from 2020 and trying to correct it or trying to find a new way to deal with it. And the economy is likely going to get worse before it gets better. And that's where we're especially going to see the fallout when it comes to the economy and what the lockdowns, like the fallout from all the lockdowns and the you know what that I can't say because I may get fact checked or something. So anyways, I think we're also going to see a major awakening to what is oppressive. I think a lot of people are going to start waking up and being like, holy shit, this is really oppressive and this is really like not cool anymore. And the systems, rules, and regulations controlling us, I think will start becoming more and more obvious, and it will start becoming more and more obvious to many people on what needs to change in order for us to move forward. So this year is really still going to be a lot of division, unfortunately, I see, but a lot of trying to figure out what needs to change and how, and who can help us do that and who's trustworthy and who's not, you know, especially with those in power, because a lot of the people in power, let's just be real, are not right now. So yeah, and the reason why I'm saying all of this is because Uranus is in Taurus, and that is being activated on and off all year in the year of 2021. So it's getting squared by Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius starting in January, starting mid-January, but we're going to start really feeling this when Mars moves into Taurus especially, so like the beginning of January. Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius are going to start squaring Uranus, and this is going to be us getting challenged on a global scale to really find balance between our rights and our freedom versus order, law, and structure, between boundaries and liberation. This is where we're going to start seeing a lot of tension arise in this year. This square also is the waning square of a cycle that started in 1988. Okay, so this first started when Saturn and Uranus came together in 1988. And then in early 2000, I believe, we saw the same square, but it was switched. Very interesting. It was Saturn and Jupiter in Taurus square Uranus in Aquarius. And so we're possibly going to see a lot of closing of the themes from 2000 and 1988. We're going to start seeing a lot kind of coming undone, and this cycle really wrapping up whatever it's been trying to show us. So if we look at history, it shows us that Saturn and Uranus transits really stir shit up. It really brings a lot of disruption to the norm, the economy, the government, those in power, the leaders of the world, the wealthy, and also our social systems and structures that we have in place politically as well, you know, because we're dealing with governments here when we're dealing with Saturn and also Aquarius, the people that are controlled by the governments or humanity itself in general. So collectively and personally, we are going to start feeling a lot of tension in certain areas of our lives to upgrade, to break free, to make quick changes, or to take control of situations. But Saturn and Uranus, you know, is basically like Saturn the predictable and Uranus the unpredictable. You know what I mean? It may force us to actually be more patient with the changes that we make, to question changes more instead of making them impulsively, which is really going to play in this month. You don't want to jump on some quick change because you're impulsive to get control of something or to get the hang of something. You want to be more flexible, adaptable, and you want to kind of practice more endurance. And not to say that you can't make changes, because that's what this is all about, but it's making the right changes that are going to last and not just jumping at something new and shiny, some kind of new invention or technology or something like that, just because it seems like that's the solution or the answer right at this time, because that could actually bring in a lot of backlash, like I kind of talked about in the Great Conjunction video. We may not be able to predict our outcomes as much, or the outcome of certain things as much as we normally would or could. So we may make plans, but the plans may change or something like that, which is why it's really important to kind of be open in the year of 2021 and to be flexible. And you also want to be careful of Saturn, fear and oppression, letting the fear and oppression push us to act out of character or to make unstable decisions or changes that could end up backfiring or coming with serious consequence. So we're dealing with the fixed signs here, which means we may need to make a plan and be a little bit more flexible to changes along the way that are out of our control. It's basically a balance of knowing when to put your foot down, when to kind of stay in place, when to sit still, and when to act and make crazy revolutionary changes. It's kind of like really understanding the balance, which is going to take us all year. And we're going to see this on a global scale as well with people, that are in the media or in the news or celebrities or leaders or whatever. We're going to see these kind of traits coming up globally and collectively as we kind of shift into this whole new era and energy. So January and February will be the really crucial months, in my opinion, in the year of 2021. Like, we also have other big months, but these 2 months are really, really like, what the holy hell is that? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what in the world is going on here? It's going to be wild, you guys, like wild. There may be a lot of shocking, kind of unpredictable stuff that comes up, random stuff that comes up that you didn't see coming. It's going to be like really crazy. And there's also going to be a need for freedom and rebellion. So, and this is because Mars is going across Uranus, which will cause this square to Saturn and Jupiter to kind of speed up and to be felt that much more and to be rushed. Mars is the planet of conflict and masculine energy and aggression and assertion and initiative. So when Mars comes into Uranus, it's like, I am demanding that I have freedom, that I have my simple freedoms, because we're dealing with Taurus, which I'm going to talk more about it in a minute. So it's going to make that Uranus square to Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius really, really known and really, really like fiery. These transits are playing a major part in the changes that are coming up this year, in the shifts that we will have of power in the world and our social systems and in humanity itself. Major political, economical, and social shifts along with movements or unrest could happen, and we're already seeing, you know what I mean? So that will likely form as it has with past Uranus and Saturn transits. But we did have similar transits in the 1960s and the early 1960s and the early 1930s. And if you kind of think back to that time in the 1930s, this was really a huge time of this dismantling of the current economic, climate of that time. Around that time was also when, the Nazis and Hitler started kind of taking control. Even the ideas or ideologies that are being pushed to create change, the ideas that people have to create change, not people, but like a lot of those people in power, seems to really only benefit those in power, but is being masked as it's for the good of the people, if that makes sense. Back to Uranus and Taurus. Uranus, the planet of liberation, freedom, innovation, higher thinking, technology, higher forms of technology. In Taurus is about what we value, our simple freedoms of our everyday stuff, the things that bring us pleasure and comfort, and the needs, the physical and material needs that we have as humans. And this can rule like touch, interacting with the earth, intimacy, food, ownership, money, earning money, right? So with Mars there will likely be a demand for these freedoms and rights from Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius, the big dogs that just got out of Capricorn, that have been kind of corrupted by Pluto and Capricorn over the last few years. So Uranus and Mars and Taurus is going to demand that of Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius, in my opinion. It's likely going to be somewhat of like a fight or a challenge or a struggle. And unfortunately, Saturn, the big dog, Big Daddy Saturn and Aquarius kind of has the power here because Saturn rules Aquarius, right? And I do just want to say this here. These are just my predictions. None of this may happen, okay? I just want to make it clear because, I don't know. I just, randomly was like, people are probably going to get triggered as fuck or say that I'm fear-mongering. But I'm just being honest here. I'm being real. When I study the history and when I study these transits in history, this is what I see. So, and this is how I'm interpreting it, especially with the current stuff that's going on in the world. So please just keep that in mind. These are just predictions and possibilities. And if you gather anything from this, then let me know down below. I'd love to hear your own opinion. But Saturn has rulership right now over because it's at home in Aquarius. Mars is not at home in Taurus. Mars actually does not like being in Taurus. It's a Venus ruled sign and Venus is its opposite. So it's opposite from its house. It's right across the street. It can see its house and it wants to be there, but it can't be there. You know what I mean? So yeah, the Saturn and Jupiter right now kind of have the power over the people because they're in the sign of Aquarius, which is about the people. And eventually the people will start taking that power for themselves, but it's going to take some time. Right now, it's going to be more restriction on humanity and the everyday person, and until it kind of blows up. And we're going to start seeing the first remnants of that in January and February 2021. Uranus and Mars square Saturn and Jupiter may present excitement for something new or progressive. But on the other hand, you want to be very careful this year, you guys, not to jump to or make any impulsive decisions or jump to any conclusions on new, shiny, innovative, groundbreaking technology or things that come out that don't have a lot of experimentation or proof or anything backing them up. You just want to be really careful this year with that, because in the past with these transits, things have came out that ended up going severely wrong, you know what I mean, including vaccines. So you just want to be really careful with this energy. Whether it's inventions, technology, systems, whatever, just, they may not be as stable as it seems, Also remember, Neptune is still squaring the nodes in January and sextiling Pluto. So basically, Pluto has easy access. Pluto in Capricorn, the sign of the people in power, the governments and leaders and power, the foundations that rule our world. Pluto about power and extremes and lack and secrets and darkness and all of that is in a sextile to Neptune, and Neptune is squaring the nodes. So this tells me that Pluto has easy access right now to push fear, lies, deception to Neptune, scandals, propaganda. Neptune, who rules, scandals, propaganda, the media, delusions, lies, and Pluto that rules extremes. So it's using Neptune to push all these fears and extremes and to exaggerate the fear and extremes through Neptune, media, television, celebrities, things that you see that you don't see in real life. So you don't know if it's actually real or not, or if it's made up. That's what Neptune is. It kind of blurs the lines between reality, and that's why it can rule media and television and celebrities and stuff like that. So Pluto has access to that right now, and that's this. It's a lot of fear and a lot of darkness, a lot of control, over what's being told to people through Neptune. You know what I mean? So, and Neptune is squaring the nodes, which makes us really confused on which direction to go. What's telling the truth and what's not? Who's telling the truth and who isn't? You know, what's right and what's wrong? You know, what we feel and what we believe versus the facts, you know? The facts and the truth is so hidden right now. We are basically blind. We are in like foggy, dark ass water and can't tell where we're going. So a lot of the things that are happening right now are not necessarily all the way true. And I'll say that because and I'm not saying that based off of some opinion. I'm basing that off of the astrology. It's either not what it appears to be. It's like not as extreme as it appears to be, or not as scary as it appears to be, or it's just flat out not even real, to some extent, at least some of the stuff that we're being told, right? So, and I'm sure there's some of it that may be real. It just may not be what we think it is in some way. So that's what you want to remember as well. So yeah, it's going to be a year of really deciphering and discerning whether we want to be in fear and stick to the old ways, stick to the old way of doing things, to really allow other people to oppress us or to be stuck in old patterns or old conditionings in some way, or if we want to think for ourselves and work to find a better solution towards more freedom and less oppression, towards balance, towards truth, towards facts. So that's really what this year is going to be about, you guys. And these 2 months, January and February, are going to be full of a lot of really rebellious, defiant, resistant kind of energy. So just be prepared for it. And like I said, personally in your life, you may be feeling that in some areas of your life too. You may start feeling very frustrated by some oppressive or hard or challenging situation in your life where you feel restricted or you feel out of control. And so you may want to make some crazy change or take some crazy impulsive action to fight against that, to regain control. And this is where you really have to check yourself and really think on a higher, more innovative way, and really trust in a higher, innovative way, and not get sucked down by fear, but also know when fear is helping you and when fear is hindering you. That is really going to be crucial, and how to balance out boundaries and limits with freedom and liberation. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. And yeah, I took a lot of notes. I've been taking notes on this month for a while. Yes, there are other things happening this month that I didn't go over because those are the main big dogs that are happening in January. But Mars is going to enter Taurus on January 6th, in case you're a date ass bitch and want to write this shit down. Mars enters Taurus around January 6th. Mercury will be in Aquarius around January 8th. And that really tells me that there is going to be a lot of talk, a lot of media, a lot of messages and stuff like that, information coming out about Aquarian energy. So science, technology, and all of this Saturn and Jupiter stuff in Aquarius, the social systems, information about new social systems or social structures, the people. This is going to be really interesting, and Mercury is going to retrograde in Aquarius eventually towards the end at the very last day of January, on January 30th. So this is really gonna, I think, if this Aquarian energy has anything to do with the virus, this is where shit's gonna start coming out, okay? Just in my opinion. So January 8th, Venus enters Capricorn. So once again, we're gonna start seeing kind of themes of this Capricornian energy of power, control, government, the foundations of our world and society. On January 13th, we have a new moon in Capricorn, which I'm gonna do a video for. We also have, towards the end of the month is when the squares start happening to Uranus. On January 28th, we have a full moon in Leo, which I'm going to do a video for. And yeah, so those are our big things happening in January. Hopefully this video was helpful. Let me know down below if you watched it all the way through, because I appreciate you and I really, really do appreciate your support. I am working on the January sign reading, so just hang tight because I'm also working on the 2021 predictions for each sign as well. So the January readings, some of them may be late, so just keep that in mind. But anyways, I love you guys and I will see you guys in my other videos. Bye.